Hello, snowboarders of the internet. I'm your host, Avran LeFeber, and this is Boot Fitting 101. And we're going to look at the Remind Insoles and see how their whole line compares and contrasts. So let's just dive right into this. First and foremost, we need to discuss stock insoles. They're crap. Get rid of them. Anyways, alright. So the first one up is the Destin. This one provides the most minimal arch support out of their whole line. It's actually very compressible. It's more of their high impact skate insole. This is really designed more for skate shoes than snowboard boots, but for you flat-footed Neanderthals out there that just really don't need arch support, but you just need impact protection, or you kids that are just really big into hitting rails and doing flat landings, this is what you should ideally be looking at to help absorb those impacts. This is the one that, while it's not going to fully cradle the arch of your foot, it's going to give more support than a stock insole, and I mean just barely more support, but it is going to provide more dampening for you, which is just going to make it a better ride all the way across. As you can tell, it's full blue magic from toe to heel. So basically, this thing is designed for full-on impacts. Next up, we have the Kush. This is a true snowboard boot inspired footbed. So it's one step above the Destin in the fact that this is actually designed for a snowboard boot. And what you have here is a very mellow arch. So for those of you with flat feet or a very mellow arch, this is the one you need to be looking at. It is a little bit thicker than the stock insole, so you may have to do a little trimming or grinding to get it to fit. What you do get though is a full chassis that holds your arch, so you get a lot of play out in the toe, and then it stiffens up right from the start of the arch all the way back through the heel. You do get that blue foam for impact protection in there. This is the one that I actually use. I have collapsed arches. I find that this is the best one for just realigning my anatomy so that I'm not pronating or supinating. It just puts my legs back into a natural position inside my boot. It does a great job of dampening. So overall, this is more for that flat-footed rider to someone that's got a more mellow arch in there, someone that's not quite a medium or a high arch, but you know, they have a little bit of arch left in their foot just to help cradle it so that you stay locked in inside your boots. This one's also good for people with a little bit of a wider foot. It's just got a little bit of a wider platform in it. I mean, obviously if you have like a triple E width foot, probably not going to be ideal, but it's still going to be better than some other ones on the aftermarket that you could be looking at. Next up, we have the Medic. It's a little bit narrower and a little bit thicker than the other ones out there, so you notice right away that you're sitting up higher in the boot. This does help take up volume. So if you're one of those guys that has a little bit of heel lift inside your boot and you're looking to just remedy that by swapping out your stock insole, this is a good one to start with. It does have a more aggressive arch support in there, so this is good for that medium to high arched person, someone that really needs it to cradle their foot when it's inside the boot. It also is a little more rigid around the whole outside, so you notice that there isn't a lot of give on the outside or the inside of this, but you do have that blue foam for full impact from just inside the toe all the way to just inside the heel. The heel pocket is also a little bit deeper on these, so if you're one of those guys that's got a narrow heel that wants to sit a little deeper with a higher or medium arch, it is going to cradle the foot a little bit better. Next up, we have the Medic Impact, which is their newer one. It's basically the same thing as the Medic, but it's 0.5 millimeters thinner, supposedly. That's what they said. When I was measuring them and putting them up to the regular Medic, I noticed that it actually does seem to be a little thicker, especially in the toe box area. So what you get with this, a little more rigid instep for your arch right in there. It's rigid on the outside of your foot as well. And then you've got that blue foam in there for impact absorption. It really is designed for that higher volume foot that's just sitting higher, but it's not thick. So, you know, someone that actually has like more of a dainty foot, it is a little bit narrower as well. It's got a little bit of a deeper heel pocket, so it'll sit in there a little differently. Obviously, you can trim to fit with this. So the big thing to note is if you got a little bit of foot shim in there where it's just sliding around, or a little bit of heel lift, this will suck up some of the volume. I personally do think it is actually thicker than the regular Medic, but that's just me. That's just what I've been able to visualize, what I've been able to measure and see. So take that how you want with that. And the final footbed we've got from Remind is the Remedy, which is their heat moldable one that you can mold at home. Although if you're gonna mold it in your oven, make sure you don't like cook a pot roast right afterwards, because you really don't want to eat any of those chemicals, because you'll probably die and get cancer. Just saying, these things happen. Now with this actually sucks up the most volume out of any of their footbeds that they have. This is the thicker one. It's great for a more of a high instep, maybe just like a medium high one as well. It's basically a heat moldable medic. So you got the red foam in there, which is just the same thing as the blue magic for absorbing impacts in there. It's a little more rigid through that instep, and especially on the outside, you notice that right away. But you're gonna be able to mold that top piece just into your foot. You wanna make sure that you get a good mold when you do that. I'll do a video on how to mold these properly so that you guys can watch it. They have one themselves. I'm gonna give you one that's a little bit more in depth. But overall, if you're looking for a heat moldable aftermarket insole for your boot, this is a great option. Like I said, it's going to be more for those people with a higher arch, maybe a medium width to a slightly narrow width foot. It's not as wide as the Kush or the Destin. It's more on par with the Medic or the Medic Impact. Overall, these all have their purpose and place for different types of feet, so you want to make sure that you find the one that works for you. But the idea of this guide was to just show you which one would probably match up with you. So if you're like medium width foot, high arch, you want customization, you want the Remedy. If you're a little bit narrower foot, looking to suck up volume, but you're a high impact rider hitting more park, or you're hitting backcountry and coming down hard, then you want the Medic Impact. Next up would be the resort rider with the narrower foot, someone that's wearing like a Solomon, has a little bit of heel lift, you know, someone that needs something to suck up volume, not the widest foot out there, has a medium to a high arch. Then you go with the regular Medic. If you're like me, you got collapsing arches, a little bit wider forefoot in there, then you go with the Kush. And then if you're just a full-blown park rat, skate style guy that really doesn't need a lot of arch support because your arches are still in good shape, but you need impact protection, that's where the Destin comes in. It's not really recommended for snowboard boots. You can do it. It's not something that I'm gonna actively tell people like, yeah, that's what you should look at. I mean, this is a very small percentage that would be using this. Most people actually need the Kush, the Medic, or the Remedy. I think that's just the way it works, especially with the people that are watching this video here. One thing that I do want to note with these is that the Destin, the Kush, the Medic Impact are all self-forming, so the more you wear them, the more they're going to take the form of your foot, whereas the Remedy, you do want to actually have this heat molded, whether you do it at home, which you can do, or you take it to a shop as you're getting your liners heat molded and whatnot. But basically, you can get these dialed in with very minimal customization and work. That's what's going on with Remind Insoles, so check them out. All right, did you learn the difference between all the Remind insoles? Good, there's hope for you. I'm glad you're checking this out, you're getting your boots dialed in. That's what Boot Fitting 101 is all about. If you got questions, put them down in the comments section down below. I'm gonna try to answer them. If you're new here, remember to subscribe, click the bell, get those notifications. That way you're not missing any of the videos I got coming out for all you snowboarders of the internet. And if you really like what we're doing over here and you wanna support us further so that we can make more content like this to help dial in your gear and just make you better at snowboarding, then swing on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP and become a member. Sure, I could tell you more here, but I got a video over there that explains it so much better. As always, I've been your host, Avran LeFeber, and I'll see you in another video.